Look at the threats from Iran that may be emerging. The UK Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee, they warn that the country faces a, quote, rising and unpredictable threat from Iran, and the British government must do more to counter it. The committee, which oversees Britain's spy agencies, raised particular concern over what they called a, quote, sharp increase in threats against opponents of Iran's regime in the UK. Now, this striking line from their report sums it up. I have to quote, Iran poses a wide-ranging threat to UK national security, which should not be underestimated. It's persistent and crucially unpredictable, close quote. We're joined by UK correspondent Jonathan Sacerdoti with us. Good to have you back, Jonathan, on a program with me here. These are intelligence reports. I mean, the MI5, is behind a lot of this. They examine the Iranian state assassinations, kidnapping attempts, espionage, cyber attacks. I think some 15 attempted kidnappings since 2022, if I read. I can't help but keep quoting this report. It's so incredible. Quote, Iran has a high appetite for risk when conducting offensive activity, and its intelligence services are ferociously well-resourced with significant areas of asymmetric strength, close quote. I mean, it sounds like a war is being waged against the UK. What's likely to be done about it? What's happening up there?
Well, this report, published by Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee, is a 2-year inquiry into that threat that Iran poses to the UK, covering state-backed assassinations, espionage, cyber attacks, foreign influence, and nuclear risk. But it's important to note that it actually ended the period of time it covered before the October the 7th war started. So things could probably have got a lot worse since the period of time that this Parliamentary Intelligence and Security Committee report actually started. Now, Iran poses a wide-ranging and persistent and unpredictable threat to the UK, according to the report, and that includes assassinations, kidnappings, and all those other threats that I mentioned. And between 2022 and 2024, at least 20 Iranian-backed plots on British soil involved attempts to kill or kidnap dissidents, journalists, or critics of the regime, with some people who work for dissident Iranian news channels saying that their families have been threatened within Iran as well. And MI5 and counter-terror officials have said that these plots now represent the greatest level of threat Iran poses to Britain, comparable even to the threat from Russia.
What do we know about Jewish and Israeli targets? I mean, is this included in the reports, or is this, a specific area of interest for the Iranians at this point up there?
Indeed, one of the main areas that the Iranian-influenced terrorist threat groups pose in the UK is to Jewish and Israeli groups. So other than those Iranian journalists, they're also very keen to target those people within the UK. And so those threats are not just towards Iranians or dissidents within the UK or those working in the media, perhaps, for example, for the BBC Persian staff who are also at threat, but also to Jewish people. And that's also, of course, a growing area of concern for the Jewish community and for the wider British public, because obviously terror threats aimed at any people within British soil are of great concern. And this report only makes it clearer that there is a growing and very serious threat coming from the Islamic Republic regime in Iran.
Look, other thoughts? You mentioned that this report really only details their attempts almost 2 years ago, essentially, before all the latest tensions, the war on Israel. Are there thoughts that this is a type of watershed report for Iran's activities across the continent?
Well, it certainly should be something of a watershed. If people and the authorities have been slow to react to the threat from the Islamic Republic regime in Iran before, perhaps this will be pushing them into some form of action. The ISC criticizes the UK government for focusing too heavily on crisis management in Iran's nuclear program while neglecting domestic terror threats. And the UK strategy currently on Iran, they say, is reactive, under-resourced, and lacks a coherent long-term approach. And it's also worth noting that the report says that Iran uses criminal networks, militant and terrorist organizations, and cyber operatives as proxies to conduct operations in the UK while maintaining deniability. So much in the same way that they actually wage war on Israel using proxies in neighboring countries, they're doing the same thing when it comes to terror operatives within the UK and outside the Middle East East region so that they can claim it isn't their activity, their action. And to that end, the Iranian embassy here in the UK has said that this report is outrageous, that it's incorrect, etc., and so on. So it remains to be seen whether this will be a watershed moment for the authorities and the government here to actually get tough and start to deal with this problem in a more serious way.
Well, I found it, the report really jaw-dropping. I couldn't help but quote so much of it here. It's important to wave before our viewers here on the program around the world to get attention on such an in-depth and really damning report. Jonathan Salshadodi, thanks for being with us.
Thanks.
Now, Australia